But as we find Mary weeping outside the garden tomb, we find her stuck at a point beyond which many people today cannot or do not move. Despite her commitment, her loyalty, and her great love for Jesus, we find her still mired in the dust of Calvary, stuck right there at the cross, unable or unwilling to remember or to believe Jesus' own pronouncement that on the third day he would rise. We might well note three things about the scene outside the tomb described by the writer of the fourth gospel. Three things that are as applicable today in their own way as they were on that first Easter dawn. First, it was because Mary was seeking for a dead Christ that she could not find him. And many people keep making that same mistake today. The Christ they know lived in Palestine 2,000 years ago, and they are impressed by what he did, by what he taught, by what he suffered. Emotionally, they take their stand at Calvary, and there they stay. Secondly, for all of her searching about the tomb, it was not Mary Magdalene who discovered Christ, but Christ who found her. This is the way it usually happens. God is seeking us not only when we have lost God, but even when we are alienated from God and do not realize that God is missing from our lives. When our spiritual lives become meager and thin, as they sometimes do, we need to recall that love that will not let us go. And thirdly, although Mary was seeking him with her whole being, she did not recognize Christ when she saw him. We don't need to fault her for this, for apparently the risen Christ was different in some ways from the Jesus she had known. She failed to recognize him, supposing him to be the gardener. So it often is in life with all of us. At times, all we see is some needy and perhaps less than attractive soul, someone who does not appeal to us, someone who lacks the necessities of life and who claims our assistance. Like so many of the people we see on the streets with their plastic cups and who assault us on the sidewalk with their varied calls for spare change. Preoccupied, annoyed, disdainful, or fearful of involvement, we are tempted to ignore these unwelcome claims. And then we are caught up short as we recall Jesus' words, "As you did it to one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me." In this year of 2009, let us consider how fortunate we are. From the vantage point of more than 2,000 years, we who claim to have moved beyond the garden, to have moved past Calvary, to have moved past the empty tomb, can, by the daily living out of our baptism, with all of its implications for peace with justice and respecting the dignity of every human being, may help others to have meaningful encounters with the living God, the risen Christ, that they too might be changed, might find new ways of living and being, and have their lives of mourning turned into joy in the loving, accepting fellowship of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.